Hi guys, Spartan765, and today I'm doing a video that I got a request from, apparently because there's no other videos on YouTube on how to do this, and that's to disassemble the Winchester 1200, 1300, or 120 Ranger trigger assembly. It looks menacing, but it's actually fairly easy. There's a lot of people who have said that they have attempted to disassemble it and then can't get it back together. One of the things I got from somebody is that the hammer won't go back, or that the safety no longer works. I'll explain both those reasons, because unlike a normal, like a Remington 870 or a Mossberg, it does not use a detent safety. Just remove this screw right here on the side plate, lift the side plate off. Okay. Now next here, what you're going to have is your bolt stop or bolt release right here. Now how you take this off is there's a little spring right underneath here. Right underneath here. Now you can't really see it yet, but to take it off, see this is detented in here a little bit. That's for when the hammer's cocked. That's what activates your slide or your bolt release. You want to make sure the hammer is decocked when you do this. So first thing you're going to want to do is just push this down and lift up slightly. You're going to hear a little pop, and what that is that's the sear. This is the sear here. This is the sear holder right here. Now that'll have a little bit of spring tension on it. You'll see this will start to go like this. Don't just pull it out. Let it pull it out a little bit, about halfway, and you can rotate it. And then there, you can see the little spring. Now just place your finger over it like this. Just kind of wiggle it out like so, and out with it will come your spring right here. Now the easiest way to remember what way the spring goes on is just leave it the way it is. Now this end of the spring here, this end of the spring right here was sitting right where it is now. This end right here goes in this little groove right here. Now your sear assembly will pop up just like that. All you have to do is just pull it out. It's not going to fly anywhere or blow apart. You don't really need to disassemble this, because on this particular one it's pressed fit in there. So you can take some Rem oil and clean it off. Now this end of this spring right here sits right down in here, and you'll be able to see, there's a little finish worn out there. That's a way you can, help you if you forget where your springs are. Now the next thing we're going to do is take the carrier assembly off. That includes the carrier, the dog, and the dog plunger and spring. Now how to do this is you simply just pull off the other part of the side plate. Now when you do this, I would depress the dog right here down, right above this pin here. Kind of depress the dog in the carrier so it doesn't go, flying. You just kind of twist it and rotate it off, and just pull it right out just like this and set it aside. Now slowly release, as you'll see, the dog plunger will come up. Lift your carrier in your carrier dog out, set that aside. Pull your dog plunger and spring out. Obviously give that a spray, and there's no more further disassembly involved in this here. Next is to take out the trigger. So you can either do the trigger or the hammer next, but I'll do the trigger. Now there's detents on here. There's little serrations in the pin to make it so it stays in. The side you want to push it out on is this side right here, not this side. Push the pin out just like that, and the hammer or the trigger will just simply fall right out. Now most simply will, just like that here. Alright, now the next step is to take the hammer out. Now these are the ones with the springs on it, the heavy springs. It actually doesn't blow apart, so you're going to see right here where that detent is. Take a screwdriver in there, just kind of pull that out until you can grab with your finger. Depress over here and just pull that pin right out. Alright, next, the entire assembly will come out like this, and here's the frame. Now in the frame, here's your safety button. Now as you'll notice, there's no ball and detent in the Winchester safety. The Winchester safety utilizes the hammer spring as the detent for to keep the safety locked into position or out of position. Now to remove this, very simply, you just pull it right up and out. Now you got your fully disassembled trigger group here. Now if you want to take up, whoop, there goes one of the bushings. Now these bushings on here, as you'll see, they're angled like this, or they got a bit of a flat top on them, and that's so that when you put this pin back in, it's properly aligned with the bolt release. Okay. Now you can take those off and take your spring off, and then clean that out. and these just fit right in there just like that. Okay. Now what you're going to want to do is when you put your hammer assembly back together, insert the hammer in assembly in first with the spring, just like this. Now you'll see here on your safety there will be little detents in here. You'll see one here. Let me pull it out more to show you. You'll see right on this part of the safety there's one there and there's one there. Just put your safety in, make sure those detents are facing upward. Okay. Then set this spring leg right down in there like that. And then just push it down. Alright? Now to reinsert this pin here, it might get a little bit, it might have to maneuver a little bit. Sometimes it goes in easy, sometimes you have to do a little bit of work. But, because you're trying to, oh, there it went in. Now, this is the part where the person that I had talked to, one of the people I had talked to, was saying that they couldn't get their trigger back in. Or and their safety wasn't working. We already went over the safety wasn't working. The safety works now because it was properly installed. Now when you put your trigger back in, you look in here, see if the safety's like this, where it's bigger right here and smaller there. You don't want that. Alright. Well, you want to make sure, pretty much, to sum it up, you want to make sure your safety is off when you put the trigger back in the off position. Okay, that makes it a lot easier to summarize. You just drop your safety in, or your trigger. Just like this here. Maneuver it into position where it lines up with the pinhole. And then put the pin in. Remember, these little seriations of the pin go in this way. Going to set that in. You're going to have to maneuver the safety around, or the trigger around. What the hell do I keep calling it the safety? Maneuver that around a little bit until it goes right in there just like that. Okay, your trigger's in. Your trigger should freely move up and down like this. Put your safety on. The hammer back. I'll do that when we get back together. Okay, now, next thing you're going to want to do is put your plunger back in. Right here. Dog plunger. Carrier. This just slips right back over here just like this. And make sure that your dog plunger, when you get it back in, it sits right here on this flat bottom facing here. Push it down very carefully. I mean, you don't want it to fly out. If it flies out and it goes across the room, it's going to be a pain in the ass. Alright, get it in there. Now here's the part where you're going to want to put your side plate back on. Now this is the side plate, and you could just to start it, you can put it in at any angle to make it easier, so you can just get it fitted and rotate it around. Push it down like so. Now you're going to see here, you're not going to go through all the way. You need to maneuver it around, maneuver the dog or the carrier so it fits in there. It should look just like that. Alright? Now the next thing you're going to want to do is just set your sear assembly in there. And you'll see here, this part of the spring goes right down there. And that's what creates the spring tension. Now, for now, we're just going to set that in there just like this. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put the bolt release back on. Okay. Now, how you do that is, what I like to do is just lift this spring up a little bit here. Pull it up like this, so I can set the more difficult end in first, which is right here. Going in that little slot. Again, this little slot right here is where this part of the spring goes. Okay. Now, fit that in there just like that. Then just kind of maneuver the pin so it gets right in the hole. And once you'll have it in the hole there, you can start to maneuver your sear. Yep, you got your sear in there. And then what you do to set this spring is just push the spring down and in just like that. So it's right underneath that plate. Now here's the part that's kind of irritating, and that's getting this maneuvered in here. Now the sear is under a little bit of different, no, it went right in actually, but that just pops in together right there like that. And make sure that when you put this back together, that this little detent cut in here is facing this way, and that when you cock your hammer back, I'll put it back together first. No, actually, no, I'm going to do it like this so it shows you. When you cock your hammer back, that detent should be facing down so that it pushes up your bolt release. Now when you decock your hammer, it should go back down. Now to finish this up, put your other side plate back on, just like this, and tighten and put your screw in here. just like so. The screw might be a little bit of a pain, but you get it in there. Okay. Function test it. And then what you're going to do is, I didn't show how to take it out of the gun because it's pretty self-explanatory, but we're going to go over here and put it back in the gun just to function test it and show you how it should work once it's function tested. Okay. You get the gun, pull the trigger, shoots, locks, bolt lock works, safety works. Obviously make sure your gun's unloaded first, that's common sense, but okay. And that is how you do the disassembly, reassembly of the Winchester trigger. Not too complicated. It's a little bit more complex than the Remington trigger or Mossberg trigger, but it's not too bad. Comments, questions, or other video requests, send me a message. Spartan765 out.